There was a moment. You might not have recognized it at the time. It might have looked like nothing. A regular Tuesday, a small frustration, a quiet drive home where you suddenly couldn't remember the last time you felt like yourself. But something shifted, quietly or all at once, and after that moment, you couldn't go back to pretending everything was fine. Do you know what that moment was? That's what we're exploring today. Welcome back to season 2 of the podcast and the summer of return. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Caroline Hull, your Voicekeeper, and this is episode 2. It's actually like episode 35. I probably said the wrong episode number. Oh no, I got it right. Yay, me. But this is episode 2 of our Summer of Return series. And if you missed episode 1, I invite you to go back and listen. We talked about why summer is such a powerful season to come home to yourself. And I pulled a tarot card to set the tone for everything that we're doing this summer. It's a good one, so go check it out. Today's episode is close to my heart because it's not about me, for once, right? It's about you. I've shared my story a lot. The moment I hit my own wall, the cracking open of it all, if as I say, an awakening. And today I want to turn that around and hold that mirror up for you because I believe that you have your own moment. Maybe you've already had it. Maybe it's coming. And I believe that that moment deserves to be honored. So let's drop in first and then we'll pull a card and begin. So before we go anywhere, let's arrive together. Take a breath with me. Inhale slowly and exhale. Release anything that you're holding, whatever you're holding. And do it again if you need to. Sometimes it takes a couple breaths for that to release. And as you settle in, I want to invite you to let your body just remember for a moment. Not to analyze, not to figure anything out, just to let a feeling or a memory or a moment surface if it wants to. And you don't have to do anything with it yet. Just notice that it's there. And sometimes, like, if you're carrying something, it'll kind of pop up right now. And this is a really great moment to, like, acknowledge it and, like, let it go. Okay. Let's see what the cards have for today. I actually sat down and was looking at my decks, and I just felt like we should pull from the Woodland Wardens deck. So this is actually an oracle deck. She does have a tarot deck now, which it's on my wish list. But I do love this deck a lot. Unlike, my tarot, I don't often know exactly what the card means, so we'll do this together. So what do we need today in this episode? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I pulled the beaver and the birch. And on the bottom, it says home. And I really don't think there could be anything more accurate for what we're talking about or the work that I do, because it really is about coming home to yourself. And that's what this whole series this summer is. It's about, returning to ourselves, remembering who we are. And I love that the guidebook that goes with this says that now is a time to focus on nesting, homesteading, and settling down. Decorate and tend to your environment in a way that supports a feeling of home. And okay, I kind of love this. Let's hold on to that for a little bit while we dive in, because I think it's going to come up. I want to start by telling you what this moment usually doesn't look like. It's not a lightning bolt. It's rarely cinematic, right? Like, I think we think a lot about movies and, the moment in the movie where they realize everything changed. Like, they're probably on their knees on a mountaintop and suddenly they know everything. And that's just not like real life. I feel like for a lot of us, it's like a Tuesday, right? Just a normal Tuesday. You're like unloading the dishwasher and you just stop. Like you realize you can't remember the last time you did something just because you wanted to. Sometimes it's a birthday or a holiday. Like it could be yours or someone else's, and the math of your life suddenly feels off. I know that for me, entering my 40s was a big math moment where I was like, wait a minute, How did we get here? It's like that song from the 80s. If you get that reference, you win a prize. I don't know. Sometimes it's a conversation where someone just asks how you're doing and you open your mouth to say fine like you normally do, and nothing comes out because fine is a lie that you've been telling for so long that you lost track of the truth. And sometimes it's a body moment, right? A type of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, or an illness that forces you to stop, or a panic attack in a grocery store parking lot. The moment looks different for everyone, but the feeling underneath is the same. Something has to change. I cannot keep going like this. I don't recognize myself anymore. And here's what I see that happens next pretty much almost every time. We talk ourselves out of it, right? Like we just say, I'm tired, I'm being dramatic. Other people have it so much harder. I don't have the right to feel this way when my life looks so good from the outside. And so we put that feeling back in a drawer, we close the drawer, we go make dinner, we answer emails or scroll our phones until the feeling gets quiet enough to ignore. But here's the thing about feelings you put in drawers, they don't disappear. They just wait and they get louder over time. Women especially have been taught to minimize our own inner experience, right? To ignore the feelings that pop up, to ignore when our inner voice is telling us something is off. Like instead, we are told like to be grateful, to not rock the boat, to just be fine, right? And that minimizing, it costs us. It costs us our voice, our knowing, and more importantly, our connection to who we really are. And so in this episode today, I want to offer you a reframe. That moment, the one that cracked you open, it wasn't a breakdown. I know that this can be really hard to reframe because for a lot of people, it feels like, okay, I need to start over. Like I messed up. Everything has to be wiped clean. I need to like run away to Bali. I think I put that in an article I was writing the other day. You know, we feel like we have to do something big, but instead I want you to think of it as a calling. So not a breakdown, a calling. It's some part of you, the deepest, truest part saying, I am still here. I haven't gone anywhere, and I need you to come back to me. Your cracking open or having that awakening wasn't evidence that something was wrong with you. It's evidence that something in you is still very much alive. And that is worth honoring, right? Instead of squashing that down, it's worth honoring. You know, I'm thinking about this card that we pulled, the beaver and the birch. And, you know, let's think about a beaver for a second. This is so funny. Let's talk about a beaver. But, you know, they work really hard to build their dens. I mean, they are literally changing water patterns with their creations. And sometimes they don't work out. Sometimes it gets knocked down. Sometimes a person comes along and removes it, right? But they still keep going. They hold true to their purpose, and that purpose is cultivating a home for themselves, for their family, for their little tiny beavers. I don't know what you call a baby beaver. Something to Google later, right? We should be cultivating a home for ourselves as well. And we don't. You know, life is too busy. The world is too heavy. We just don't. And I kind of love that this card asked us to think about how we decorate our home, our space. I'm sitting in my office and thinking about what I have around me that is important to me and reminds me of who I am. And so I really feel like that's what it's calling us to do, is to start by like placing some things in your environment that go, hey, you, this is you, right? I'm calling you home. This is home. For me, you know, it might be a Lego cactus. I'm completely surrounded by things with moons on them. I've got my reading cloth and my bag that I keep my tarot in, and, you know, all kinds of things. But I walk in here and it's like a reminder of, you know, who I am, of what coming home to myself looks like. So yeah, I just felt like that really tied in there. And I'm going to ask you a few questions now. You don't need to answer out loud. Just let them land in your body and notice what comes up. And if you're somewhere where you can grab a journal, even better. But just listening and answering these questions for yourself is enough. So the first one is, when was the last time you felt truly like yourself? Not performing, not managing, not holding everything together, just you. And you can even think about, like, when did I most feel at home? Like what environment did I most feel at home with myself? And whatever comes up first, like, let that lead you. And then I want you to ask yourself, what was happening in your life before things started to feel off? Like, what were you saying yes to that maybe your body was quietly saying no to? That's a big pitfall that we fall into. And then today's society is constantly saying yes to things when really we should be saying no. Was there a moment, big or small, when something in you said enough? When you looked at your life and you felt the distance between where you were and where you actually wanted to be? And if you're still waiting for your moment, if you're listening to this and thinking, I don't have one yet, I want you to consider that maybe this is it. Maybe this episode, this summer, this quiet pull towards something different, maybe this is your moment. And a reminder, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to notice. And don't worry if you're feeling like, oh crap, the answers to these questions are only leaving me with more questions. In our next episode, we're going to talk about how you can start leaning into a return and what that looks like. So, no panicking. This doesn't have to happen overnight. I think sometimes we think it does. And if today's episode stirred something in you, I want to give you 2 places you can go deeper. The first one is my book, Let Her Return, walks you through exactly this journey from the moment of awakening all the way through to reclaiming and embodying who you really are. I built it so you can actually work through it. So it has reflection prompts, personal stories, and everything I've learned on my own path. So you can go check that out, carolinehull.com/book. And if you want to do a community to do this work with, I have opened up my returning membership for you. It is on Substack. It's only $15 a month, and it's genuinely the container I wish I had when I was in the middle of my own awakening. So the link is in the show notes. And before I let you go, I want to say something directly to you. The fact that maybe you felt something today, a flicker of recognition, a memory, a quiet knowing, that matters. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't put it back in the drawer. That feeling is your voice, and it has been trying to reach you for a long time. You're not broken. You're not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to begin, and you have got this. I will see you in episode 3 with so much love and light. Have a great week.